I've said recently that reading is to life as life is to death. In other words, that literature, let's think of the remembrance of things past, a massive condensation of personal and interpersonal reflections and relationships. It is like a one-dimensional universe or something that comes to life when it's read by people at our level of the deployment of being, but yet we notice that we seem to be like characters in some kind of massive cosmic manuscript. There isn't simply physics ruling what's happening to us. There's also, irony and wit, and the conceits of literature seem to rule our lives. And this is very weird. I think people like James Joyce understood this. I'm not sure it's a perception you can live with or do much with, but it's very strange. I would like to replace physics with literary criticism as the centerpiece of the sciences. And that's sort of a facetious way of saying what we need is a description of the world that's true to our experience. We have these descriptions of, photon-phonon interaction and what happens to the intermediate vector boson when it encounters some other kind of energetic particle. The only problem is this all fits together, but nobody has ever seen these things or knows where do they come tangential to keeping your second marriage together. These are the important questions. And science isn't answering that because it's only interested in these phenomena which are so low grade that they can be repeatedly triggered and always will make the meters read the same way. And yet, love affairs, the evolution of dynasties, the fall of empires, political intrigues, tax evasion, these are all things which completely evade the laws of physics in that way and are much more immediate for us. And psychology, I hope, is dimly hoping to be able to eventually do this, but it's not clear that that's the right approach. Psychology, by taking the ology upon it, lines up as a subset of the Church of Science. And what it may be necessary to do is have, a kind of a new aesthetics of being so that we can talk more about this. We just dismiss it as coincidence, and say, well, that's coincidence. But the fact is, when you take a person, almost any person, and ask them how they got to be where they are at the present moment, you'll discover that coincidence played a large factor in that. Well, does this mean that everyone's lives are guided by utter meaninglessness? Or does it mean that we have misperceived coincidence and that it is actually the input point for higher order programming that is sort of, you could say, formatting what we input into life is being formatted by this higher order set of assembly commands that we call coincidence because it seems to move us around so arbitrarily. Yes, I don't know what to do about all this. I mentioned yesterday the thing about how I didn't particularly want to change in titanic dimensions, and then someone else brought it up later, and I thought about it last night driving home. And I've said this, I think I've said this publicly before, but I'm not sure. The thing is, you see, that we spend a long, long time looking for the answer, pretty much in the faith that we would not find it, but that there was something inherently noble about the looking. It was sort of Thomas Aquinas' idea that the moral life is its own reward. Meaning, if you're a good person at the end of your life, you don't get a prize, but at the end of your life, you look back on your life and see that being moral actually made you happy. So it's its own reward. We are, trying to grapple with what it would mean to realize that we could take control of our lives with language. Like, I often imagine that a conversation is possible which would completely take reality apart. We could begin, and I suppose that's what these weekends are all efforts to do, to hold the Last Supper, to finally get somebody who can say, well, and you slowly realize, my God, he's going to put it away. Well, I'm not that man, but I'm hoping he shows up.